This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. Today we have the pleasure of visiting with Dr. Michael Hakimi, one of the top Hollywood board-certified plastic surgeons that all the stars go to, and he's been on the forefront of new technologies and services during the pandemic as well. Dr. Hakimi, thanks for joining us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome, and thanks for your time. So tell us, for starters, how did you actually know you wanted to be a surgeon?
My dad is a surgeon. My mother's a nurse. Pretty much like it's a family curse, if you will. Everyone in my family. So growing up, I kind of knew I was going to be a surgeon. Quite honest with you, like when I was a kid, I didn't know there are doctors that don't cut. The first time I realized my pediatrician actually just gives vaccines and sees patients, that was a surprise to me because I thought that's what they all do. So yeah, I guess you would say early exposure definitely helped to make the decision. In high school, I tried to rebel and do other things, but it didn't work. I loved it too much to change my decision. So I made that decision early on.
Certainly writing on the wall that you are going to be a surgeon one day, for sure, it sounds like. Now, what about plastic surgery? What gets you excited each day about your field of practice?
Going to medical school, I kind of knew I was going to do surgery. I tried to keep an open eye on an open mind during my rotation. For your listeners, I think the best advice someone gave me during my white coat ceremony in medical school was attend every rotation as if that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And that truly was the best advice I got. When I did a neurology rotation, I truly thought I lived the life of the residents that were in the training program to see how they talk, how they, what their patients are like, what their lifestyle is like. And early on, I realized I really loved working with female patients. I almost applied to OB, believe it or not, when I was in medical school. And the rotation right after OB was plastic surgery, and that was when the light went off, and I realized the plastic surgery is a very special field. It's more artistic than anything else we do in medicine. And also, one day you work on a face, you do a facelift on someone, the next day you do liposuction, and the following day you do a mommy makeover. Not to mention during training I did a lot of reconstruction also. So the variety that you deal with, the way you affect these people's lives. I always tell my friends, you do an appendectomy when you're a general surgeon. These patients, after 7 days, they're good, they go back to normal. In plastic surgery, we do more than bringing back normalcy to their lives. We actually improve their lives. And I found it extremely rewarding that when you operate on someone, you see them after the surgery. Not only you see the improvement that you make in their lives, but also physically, but also you see how they interact with their peers. These people, they are different when they come for follow-up visits. Their energy level is different. Nowadays, I see them on social media when they add me, and they go places that they didn't used to before because for some reason they might have had some sort of self-consciousness about something on their face or their body that was probably preventing them from doing it. And it's really, really rewarding. Not to mention the whole finesse in plastic surgery and the surgical techniques that's required kind of fed into my OCD really, really well. It was a combination of things, both technical and also on a very, very personal level. Probably this is one of the most personal surgeries we do. Yeah, you go to your office every day, people coming to tell you about their insecurities that probably they are too shy to even talk to their peers or their significant other about. It's truly a very humbling privilege, I think, to do what we do and to affect lives the way we affect them.
I certainly appreciate your touching on that from a personal perspective, and certainly can understand why that would get you excited each and every day. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, tell us, what is the state of plastic surgery these days during the pandemic? Has anything changed?
Absolutely. At the moment, during the pandemic, as you might have heard, everybody talked about the Zoom effect. People got on their video conferencing systems, whether it was Zoom or FaceTiming each other or just being more on social media, and they started noticing things that they didn't before. The the neck and jawline and the facial aging signs that when they looked in the mirror prior to that, they didn't notice it as much. And I always tell my patients, when you talk to someone in real life at a conversational distance, or even you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't really see the subtleties of facial aging or subtle changes that happens over time as much as you do when you look at a photo or you see yourself in videos. So I think a combination of that being people saw each other on videos as much, saw themselves on videos, that rushed a whole bunch new generation to plastic surgeon offices asking for jaw contouring. I don't like my neck when I'm on Zoom. Having said that, our lighting is not always ideal. Our angles with the way we use our iPads and video cameras are not ideal, so that also played a role in it. But there was a huge surge early on in facial rejuvenation, removing double chins, jawline surgery. And then something else that happened is the moment the vaccines came out and all of a sudden airlines started to fly again, people realized that for the last year or so they've been sitting at home, gyms were closed, and a lot of people they've been stress eating at home, not working out as much. And they say average American gained close to 30 pounds over the last 2 years. So these people that now there's no diet that works fast enough for them to get back to the shape or the weight that they used to have, they come to us asking for liposuction. And the first question they ask about recovery is, how soon can I go on a trip? How soon can I book my Hawaii trip, etc.? I really think people want to make up for the time they lost during this pandemic. And even though liposuction is never a weight loss method, but because we're a generation that really wants immediate gratification, the fastest way for these people is they come in and ask for liposuction. And these days, with new techniques that we have in our hands, we can really accomplish that for them. In my office, I do a lot of awake liposuction, believe it or not. These people don't even go under anesthesia. They can get a full body liposuction just on oral sedation. We give them a little bit of Xanax and some pain medication. And in a matter of 3-4 hours, we can take liters of fat out, and they have a much faster recovery. These people don't have to stay home. They go back to work in no later than 2 or 3 days. They're fully back to the gym no later than 2 weeks after the surgery. So I'm glad that I have this to offer them, because these are people that really want to get back and they don't have time to wait for the next summer. They're like, we lost one summer already. We're here for the second one. And now with the summer being over, I haven't seen any slowing down in the liposuction patients. I believe this trend in people wanting to travel more is going to continue year long because everybody is making up for the time they lost. And also, friends and family that they didn't see, traveling that they didn't do. So I would say facial surgery has definitely gone up because of Zoom, and the later trend that we saw was a very sharp spike in liposuction patients.
It certainly makes all the sense in the world, but it is definitely interesting to hear your take on that as well. Today we're with Dr. Michael Hakimi, one of the top Hollywood board-certified plastic surgeons that all the stars go to, and he's been on the forefront of new technologies and services during the pandemic. And he's joined us here today on eHealth Radio's Health News and Plastic Surgery Information channels, a part of the eHealth Radio Network. Now, currently, what kind of trends are you seeing in the industry now?
As far as trends, there's something recently that I've noticed, and you might know this, but I have a concierge service that I send nurses to people's houses to do injections. And before we get into the surgical trend, I think one of the biggest changes that happened after the pandemic is people realized that we started postmating our food, lunch, and dinner home because the restaurants were closed. And I got a lot of phone calls from patients that, hey, I know your med spa is closed. Can you send someone to my house to do my Botox injection or IV therapy? I want a little bit of a boost. I feel dehydrated. So we put this concierge service together that, believe it or not, people go online just like when you go to Postmate your food or you call an Uber cab, you go online, you find a nurse, and that matches the date and the time that you like. And these nurses actually come to your home, your work, your office, and they give you your Botox, your injection, and IV therapy. And I did that just as something to offer to my own patients early on after the pandemic caused med spas to close, and then when the safety guidelines were in place that we actually had, we were allowed to send these nurses to patients' houses. And that hasn't stopped. That keeps growing. We started from just covering the Orange County area in California. Now we're covering all the way to Northern California, and Southern California. We've expanded to San Diego and Inland Empire. And they say every pandemic or recession has changes and modifies the way people shop. And I think in 2008 was booming of Amazon and people going online price shopping, and they started the behavior change. We became more of an online shopper. And I truly think what happened after pandemic is we've realized how much we can do on our own time, and that is another trend. That's one of the biggest trends that I've noticed is people wanting to get stuff done at the day and the time that they would like. Imagine you go to work and you're a busy businessman or businesswoman, and you don't want to take time off work to go to a med spa just to get your Botox treatment. You go home, you schedule someone for 7 o'clock at night when you arrive home to get your Botox. Or imagine on a Saturday night you had a very fun time at a nightclub. On Sunday, you don't feel 100% to go back to work on Monday. You go online and you book a nurse to come home and give you some IV hydration, perk you up, and you're ready to go for tomorrow. That's probably one of the newest trends that I've seen and happened in my own practice also. As far as the surgical trends goes, people don't come in asking for a specific celebrity anymore as much as they used to. J-Lo's body and Angelina Jolie's lip, I really think they're still gold standards in many cultures and when you look at the aesthetics and science of beauty. But people seem to have more of a realistic expectation. Majority of people that I see, at least in my practice, they come in, they ask for example, liposuction with abdominal etching, meaning they want to be able to see their six-pack that they've been working out so much and they're not able to see it yet. They just want to improve what they're already working on, and they seem to know the limits. They know that their genetic and their body type may not be one to look like a specific celebrity, and that's a very good sign for me. For me, that means people are more sophisticated, they have more realistic expectation, and makes this a much healthier procedure for them, more patient satisfaction. And as a surgeon, I feel more comfortable doing these procedures when my patients have more realistic expectations, and that's been another trend. When you talk about breast augmentation, I think we all agree that the days that people would come in asking for very, very large implants are gone now. People, by the same token, they're more educated about the complications of doing extreme makeovers. And if they come in for augmentation of any sort, they have a much more realistic expectation. If anything, they tell me, I don't want to look like X, Y, and Z. And I think, Eric, there's a lot to be said about social media. People say because of social media, certain trends are now here. But I also would tell you, because of social media, probably we're more educated, we're more aware. People talk about their complications more. And I truly think social media, if anything, helped us to see both sides of the spectrum. Yes, some people might be seeking plastic surgery or other surgeries because of social media, but they're also more aware of the complications, so they have more realistic expectations, at least in my opinion.
You got to love that concierge service and the convenience there that you offer, and all the trends mentioned. Really interesting. Now, what health and safety precautions have you changed to or been seeing during these times as well?
As far as safeties, as far as COVID safeties goes, we haven't eased it at all. We're still we still wear our N95 mask in the office, despite the whole vaccination and whatnot. Just everybody that gets surgery done, whether it's a general surgery, a major surgery, or a minor procedure in the office, we still require a PCR COVID test. And I'm very lucky that for the last 2 years we haven't had anybody in the office or among the patients come back positive. You do hundreds of these cases a day, and you test hundreds of cases a year, and you test everyone. And the fact that none of them have been positive, I'm very lucky in that sense. We do have the full-on COVID precautions in the office, but also in a general precaution, we always tell patients not to combine many surgeries. People come in, and I understand they take time off work, and they're like, I just want to do my arms, my thighs, my abdomen, my pec, my jaw. Can we do it all in one session? I think one of the most effective safety techniques is to stage surgeries. When you think about it, it's not good for anybody to be under anesthesia or have a big surgery more than a few hours. And in my office, I always recommend these patients to stage their surgery. I tell them, tell me your top 3 priorities. Why don't we stage them? We're going to stage your number 1 and number 2, and then in a week or in a couple of days, you can come back for your number 3. Especially if they do local anesthesia procedures, which in my office, majority of my cases are done under awake IV oral sedation. It's very easy to stage them, do a procedure for 2 or 3 hours, and bring them back for another part.
Dr. Hakimi, really do appreciate your time spent with us here today, and per your responses and information and insight, it is clear that you're passionate about what you do, and we appreciate what you do as you serve your clients and the way you serve them as well. Lastly, what tips can you give people who want to get some work done?
Do your research. See a few surgeons. Plastic surgery is also artistic, and you could see 3 different plastic surgeons. Let's say you want to have liposuction. You could see 3 different plastic surgeons. All 3 could offer you great results, but you might hear 3 different methods and 3 different types of results. Some people have a more extreme result. Some people have a more natural look to the results. And it's like almost speed dating, Eric. You want to go in to interview your surgeon wants to interview you. You see 2 or 3 before you make your decision. These are elective surgeries. There's no reason to rush if you're having an elective procedure. Take your time, do your research, make sure that you feel comfortable with your doctor, make sure that you feel comfortable with the results. Usually if you have a friend or family member who's had a procedure done, that also gives you a better insight into the practice of that specific plastic surgeon. But that would be my best advice: is do your homework, do your research, find someone that meets your expectation, both in the results delivered, also in the sense that you like their personality, because patient compliance in plastic surgery plays a big role in the recovery and also in the results. And if you like your surgeon and you guys vibe, if you will, you're more likely to be compliant than if you don't have a good relationship with your surgeon and you just get the surgery done and you're not that enthusiastic to go and see and follow up with the garments and massages and this and that. So it's a team effort, and it's important to build a good team. Pick a good team before you start.
Certainly appreciate those tips and concluding remarks. Much appreciated. Of course, we appreciate all the information shared here today. If listeners wanted to get more information on you or your practice online, where's the best place to do so?
Thank you, Eric. I try to keep the same name everywhere, even though it's really hard these days. It's Dr. Hakimi, DrHakimi is my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook. And if they are interested in the concierge service to order, let's say, Botox fillers and IV hydration, they can go to wivohealth.com, WIVO health.com.
And that sounds easy enough, and we'll leave these links within the show notes of this broadcast to further aid as well. Dr. Hakimi, all the best, and hopefully we can catch up with you in the future right here on eHealth Radio.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And you're more than welcome. We've been speaking with Dr. Michael Hakimi, one of the top Hollywood board-certified plastic surgeons that all the stars go to. And for further details, visit wevohealth.com. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.